An ordinary student unexpectedly became a king in the other world because of a ring. One night while Sato was hunting in the forest, he was surprised when suddenly there was a light that appeared not far from him. When he approached it, he saw a girl with an old man. The girl asked his name, and when he introduced himself, she also told him that her name was Jaime. She begged him not to tell others what he saw, and in return, she said that they could be friends. And from that moment, he also felt that he needed to protect her. 10 years had passed, and they became close friends since they were also neighbors. But every time they were together, Sato could not help but look at the necklace that Jaime was wearing. So when she noticed him looking at it, she told him that she would only give it to the person whom she would marry. A few hours later, while Sato was talking to his classmates, Jaime texted and invited him to the summer festival. He felt nervous and immediately thought that it might be the moment that she would confess her love to him. In the afternoon when they arrived at the festival, they went for a walk, tasted the different foods that they saw, and even played games. After some time, they went to the highest part of the place to wait for the fireworks display to happen. Sato was about to confess his love to her when the fireworks display started, so he did not continue what he was about to say. After a while, Jaime told him that she was going to leave soon, and said that she needed to go back to her place with her grandfather. He was shocked when he learned about it that he could not speak until they got home. When he lay down on his bed, he wondered where Jaime would go. Suddenly, the light appeared on the mountain, so he immediately went there and caught Jaime, who was about to enter the source of the light. Jaime looked at him and admitted that she needed to go back to the world where she came from because she was getting married. When she entered the portal, Sato did not want her to leave him, so he decided to enter it too. As he opened his eyes, he was already in Nokonakata, which was Jaime's kingdom, and saw a wedding ceremony in front of him. When he called Jaime, an abyss monster suddenly came to the hall. The monster attacked Jaime's grandfather, named Alabaster, who told Jaime to give Prince Moss the ring. But she disobeyed him and suddenly kissed Sato, and this caused the ring to go to his best friend. When they witnessed this, Moss also immediately decided to give Sato his sword. With the help of the power of the ring or the ring of light, Sato was able to easily kill the monster in one attack. But he immediately lost consciousness because of the amount of energy that he lost. When he regained consciousness, Jaime explained everything to him. It turned out that she did not want to get married to someone she did not know, so when she saw him, she did not hesitate to give him the ring of light. Meanwhile, the other elders of Nokonakata were worried because Prince Moss's father or the Emperor of Jazara's empire might be angry if he found out what happened. When Alabaster came, he introduced Sato to the people of the kingdom. Since Sato could do nothing to change his current situation, he promised to the people that he would protect Arnulus as their new hero. That night, some monsters attacked the kingdom again, and this time, they were with their leader. Before Sato faced them, Alabaster explained to him what he should know about the power of the Ring of Light. And when he went to fight the monsters, he was surprised that he did not weaken immediately. Alabaster told him that it was because of the strength of his bond with Jaime as husband and wife. It was only a few moments before the leader of the monsters, who was called the Abyss King Knight, appeared to them. Sato immediately rushed at him, but the enemy easily knocked him down. Alabaster decided that they should retreat because he knew that Sato could not beat the enemy yet. The monsters also followed them, but Alabaster was able to stop them by trapping them using a big rock. When they were about to continue, they saw the Abyss King Knight approaching them. Luckily, Moss came there to save them. With his help, they had the opportunity to escape, and using the carriage prepared by Moss, they left the palace with Jaime. It was here that Alabaster explained to Sato why he could not defeat an Abyss King Knight with his current power. In order for him to unleash his full power, he needed to obtain 4 more rings. It also meant that he had to marry 4 more princesses. When they found an inn, they decided to spend the night there. In order for Sato to better understand the role of a Ring King, Alabaster told him how it all started. At the time when the evil of the Abyss King prevailed, the Ring King wanted to end it and created the rings of light, fire, water, wind, and earth. With these, he was able to defeat and seal the Abyss King. Then he married the 5 princesses, and they were the ones who bequeathed the rings to the following generations of their respective countries. But due to the impending return of the Abyss King, the chosen Ring King must gather all 5 rings and use their power to seal the Abyss King again. After some time, Sato spoke to Jaime. Then he confessed his true feelings for her. As for Jaime, she was thankful that Sato followed her in that world. She admitted and was worried that she would marry someone she did not know, but because of what Sato did, she ended up marrying the person she loved. However, she still did not want to see Sato risking his life in a fight and marry other princesses. The next morning, Mas gave them a cloak because their uniforms were conspicuous in the eyes of people. Alabaster then informed them of the place that they were going, and it was in Ramka, the kingdom of the elves. When they came there, the Tempest Wall appeared before them, which served to protect the elves from attacks. Alabaster mentioned that he had been in this place before, but in those days, the Tempest Wall did not exist yet. After a while, a big bear suddenly appeared to them. It chased them until they reached the Tempest Wall. Luckily, the guards let them in. When they found out that Sato was the Ring King, they were brought to the palace. But when they got there, they were surprised when they saw Princess Nefrites hiding behind the throne. She was so shy that she quickly left them and hid. Then the prince and older brother of Nefrites, named Jade, suddenly appeared to them. When he found out that Sato was the Ring King, he immediately sent the soldiers to capture him. It turned out that he was planning to lock Sato in jail until Nefrites was old enough to get married. It meant that Sato still had to wait for 80 years. But an elf was worried about what Jade did to Sato, but Jade did not care because as long as they had the Tempest Wall, their place was sure to be safe from the Abyss King. A few days later, a female elf suddenly appeared to Sato. She wanted to know what was his true purpose, and why he wanted to collect the 5 rings. So Sato said that he only wanted to make Jaime happy. This girl just laughed at him, and asked him to come with her because they were going somewhere. Using the secret passage, they went to the Wind Temple where the Ring of Wind was located. When Sato wondered why Princess Nefrites was not holding it, the woman noticed that someone was coming, so they immediately hid. It turned out to be Nefrites, and it was here that Sato found out that the statues in the room were her parents who just turned into stone. Sato could not control his voice, causing Nefrites to hear him. But when he appeared, Nefrites could not handle this confrontation, causing her to lose consciousness. And before the soldier who was with the princess caught up with them, they quickly left the temple. They brought Nefrites to the place where the woman lived. After a few minutes, the princess woke up, but she was still afraid of Sato. When Jade found out that her sister was missing, he quickly went to Sato's prison. And when they saw that Sato was no longer there, they immediately thought that he had kidnapped the princess. Then the female elf who helped Sato came to them, and Jade called her their elder. She informed Jade that Sato and Nefrites were currently together. It turned out that she did not agree with what he was doing to his sister, so she reminded him that the princess was destined to inherit the ring and grant its power to the Ring King. But Jade did not listen to her, and he left to get Nefrites from where she lived. When they arrived at the elder's house, Sato and Nefrites immediately got out to face them. Since Sato was able to show to Nefrites his sincerity in his duty, she defended him to Jade. But the prince just reminded Nefrites that because of what she was doing, it was like betraying their parents. She felt guilty after hearing this, and she could do nothing but go with her older brother. Luckily, their elder came and decided that she would be the one to take care of Sato, so Jade did not do anything to him. After a few minutes while Sato and Jaime were talking about what happened, the elder approached them. She introduced herself as Peridot, and Sato asked her if Nefrites' parents had anything to do with her current situation. So Peridot told them why they were surrounded by the Tempest Wall. It all started when her mother's older sister, who was supposed to be the heir to the Ring of Wind, fell in love with the traveler. They were against the princess's love to this man. Then one day, this traveler suddenly did not show up to the eldest princess. In the anger of the eldest princess, she decided to leave Ramka, but she left them a curse. When Nefrites' mother inherited the ring, they decided to use its power to protect Ramka in fear of the curse that might come true. And since Nefrites was the new heir to the ring, she promised to her parents that she would never leave the Tempest Wall. The next morning, Alabaster decided to leave the Ring of Wind for the meantime. Their time would just run out, and the disciples of the Abyss King might just found them there. While Jade was watching them leave, one of their soldiers informed him that some Abyss monsters had passed through their Tempest Wall. When Sato's group saw the monsters, they decided to go back to protect the ring. While the monsters were attacking the elves, the Abyss King Knight went directly to the temple. But Jade also came there to stop him from what the enemy was planning. When he attacked him, it was easily stopped by the enemy. Fortunately, Sato also came there and stopped the enemy's attack on Jade. Sato tried to attack the enemy several times, but he could not do anything against its strength. In this situation, Jaime immediately thought that they needed the help of the Ring of Wind. A few moments later, Peridot also came to the temple to help them. When Jaime came to Nefertiti's room, she begged her to agree to be Sato's wife. But no matter what she said, Nefertiti still refused because of her promise to her parents. Jaime felt so worried for Sato that she could not stop crying. Until she said something that made Nefertiti change her mind. They immediately went to the temple, and when they got there, they destroyed the statue of Nefertiti's parents to get the rings. Because of this, the Tempest wall outside also suddenly disappeared. When Nefertiti got the rings, she immediately approached Sato to execute the contract. Then they used the power of the ring to attack the monsters outside. Due to the power of the Ring of Wind, Sato was able to manipulate the wind and the enemy's attack no longer worked on him. After he broke the mask of his enemy, he lost consciousness again. When he woke up, a woman that was unfamiliar to him entered the room. She was the older sister of Nefertiti's mother, named Smaragdi. Since Sato could not remember anything, Peridot informed him that the she-elf was the one he fought earlier. Then handed him the black ring of wind that controlled Smaragdi. That was the moment when Smaragdi started to tell them how she got this ring. It was the time when her heart was still full of anger after she left Ramka. The ring took advantage of her weakness and was easily attracted to take it. Here they found out that the Abyss King used the black rings to make his disciples. Through this, monsters were free to attack humans and other races. A few hours later, Smaragdi spoke to Alabaster to ask about her lover. Alabaster showed the necklace that she gave to the traveler. Then he told her what her lover wanted to say to her. He said that the traveler did not want to see that his beloved was suffering because of him. And at that moment, he was living quietly in a distant place. The next day, they decided to continue their journey. Nefertiti wanted to go with Sato, so she bid goodbye to her parents and to Jade. After they left, Smaragdi heard the two elves talking about Sato. When he heard Alabaster's name, she learned that the person she was talking to the other night was the one she loved. A few hours later, while they were resting, Alabaster told them that the next destination they were going to was the land of water where the dragon folk lived. After a while, a moving town passed near them. Alabaster was very happy because it turned out to be Nidakita or the land of fire. For this reason, they decided that they would prioritize the ring of fire before they head to the land of water. Sato noticed that Moss was saddened by Alabaster's decision, so he thought that the prince might also wanted to visit someone in the land of water. After they boarded the moving town, they were amazed to see the market and the cat people who were the residents of the land of fire. When they were about to start to ask where the princess was, they noticed that Jaime and Nefertiti were no longer with them. It turned out that they were already inside the market, but when Nefertiti found out that they were separated from the others, she panicked immediately. When the cat girl noticed them, she suggested that they go to the arena because it was the biggest landmark there. When the boys asked the cat people, they immediately thought that they would try to court the princess, so they also brought them to the arena. While the girls were waiting outside the arena, they saw a man who was thrown out because he lost in a fight against the princess. Just a few moments later, Sato also arrived there, so Jaime informed him what she saw. When they entered the arena, they found Princess Granart fighting with one of her suitors. After defeating her opponent, she immediately noticed the rings on Sato. She quickly knew why Sato came, so she reminded him that if he wanted to marry her, he should be stronger than her. She suddenly rushed at him, and since Sato did not expect it, he was beaten and fell to the ground immediately. Although Granart was disappointed with him, she said that he could come back another day to try again. After a few hours when Sato was feeling better, he trained right away with Moss. He could not keep up with Moss because of the gap in their swordsmanship experience. While they were eating, Alabaster also admitted that it would be really difficult for him to defeat Granart if he would only fight her using a sword. To win against her, he must use the power of the rings. The next day, he went to the arena to watch the fights of the princess. He could not help but be amazed because Granart was just easily beating her suitors. He knew that he still had a long way to go, so he and Moss practiced over and over again. Until one day, Moss noticed that his opponent was able to keep up with him. However, Sato still admitted that he could not beat Granart yet. This was because Granart would definitely not attack directly like what he was doing. Although there was a slight chance that he would be able to hit her if he could analyze Granart's movements well, it would be even better if he accompanied it with the power of the ring. After a few days of training, he decided to challenge Granart again. When the people heard this, many went to the arena to watch their fight. Due to the loudness of the shouting when Sato entered the arena, the defeated challenger was jealous of him because of the ring that made him stronger. Suddenly, he noticed the black ring on the floor that lured him to use it so that he could also get stronger. So it was not long before they noticed that this knight was trying to enter the arena. When he entered, he immediately released monsters. Fortunately, the warriors of Nitakita arrived there immediately to fight the monsters. Granart got her sword and attacked the enemy, but her weapon just melted. Sato tried to use the Ring of Wind when he attacked, but it did not work. Granart told him not to interfere because she wanted to face the enemy alone, but Sato did not agree on it. After he told Granart his plan, he faced the enemy. Using the power of the Ring of Wind, he waited for the right timing for it to be effective. Because of this, Granart had the opportunity to attack their enemy. Then Sato used the power of the Ring of Light to follow it with another attack, and that was when they defeated the Abyss King Knight. Because of what Sato showed, Granart was amazed by him, so she accepted him to be her husband. But he did not accept it because he wanted to defeat her in a fight first. When she heard this, she agreed and they continued the fight that was interrupted earlier. Granart attacked first, and Sato thought that he had read her attack, but she still managed to trick him. When Granart attacked again, she suddenly disappeared, but with the help of the ring, Sato found out that she was above him. Because of this, he got a chance to counter it and was able to defeat her. That night, they celebrated to recognize the new king of the Ring of Fire. Granart also took this opportunity to tell Sato that she was amazed at what he did to defeat her. And it was the result because he did not give up easily to get what he wanted. The next day, they were in a hurry to gather the other rings, so they did not waste any more time and immediately went to the land of water, called Masa. When they arrived there, Sato noticed that Mas was no longer with them. After a while, a woman approached Sato and asked him something. After she confirmed that he was the Ring King, she suddenly kissed him, which shocked Sato because another ring was added to him. Then the girl introduced herself by the name Saphir, and the princess of Masa. It meant that Sato was now the new king of Masa, and he needed to rule their place well. The representative of the empire came there, and when Saphir said that she was already married to the Ring King, he also invited Sato's group to come with them. While they were on their way, they saw the soldiers of the empire scattered in the area. It was only here that Sato found out that the man who came to get Saphir was the first prince of the empire, and Masa's brother, named Sluter. When they met Saphir's father, they also met Vixen, who was a palace oracle, and all of her prediction came true, causing Saphir's father to be subservient to her. And since her prediction came true that the Ring King would be able to get the Ring of Water, she warned that the fall of Masa would follow. So he blamed Sato that he came to their kingdom. When Saphir was taking them to their rooms, they met Saphira, who was Saphir's twin sister. While the two of them were talking about Saphir's decision, Mas could not control himself and talked to Saphira. It turned out that she was the important person that he wanted to see there. But Saphira did not seem wanted to see him, so she left quickly. They learned from Saphir that the two used to be in love. It started when the empire tried to conquer Masa. But when the empire realized that they could not do what they wanted, they sent a representative to strengthen the relationship between the two nations. They sent Mas to Masa, and just a few days later, he and Saphira became close. Until the day came when Mas was told by the empire to go back home. A few months later, he wrote to Saphira to let her know that he had been chosen to be the Ring King. Through this, their plans would be fulfilled because Saphira was also one who could inherit the Ring of Water. But they found out that Mas had abandoned his role as Ring King, which made Saphira felt disappointed. Just a few days after that, the oracle came to their kingdom. From what was happening in Masa, Saphira suspected that it had a connection with the empire. And she was currently looking for evidence to prove it. When Mas reached Saphira, he tried to explain and made it clear that he still loved her. But no matter what he said, Saphira still could not accept what he did. At night, Vixen ordered her assassins to kill Sato. But when they came to its room, they did not expect that Granart was just watching them. The next morning, they tried again to get rid of Sato, but they still did not succeed because Alabaster was protecting him. So Vixen decided to use Mas in her plan. She told Mas to take the rings from Sato because this was what his father wanted to happen. It was here that he found out that she had a connection with his father. She informed him that after 3 days, the monsters would attack the kingdom, and he could use this opportunity to kill Sato. He was given a sword that had an ability to negate a spell. Although he accepted it, he was still confused if he would follow the mission given to him. Until the sword suddenly glowed, and this was when he was completely controlled by it. On the day of the monster's attack, Sluder decided not to bring Sato's group outside, so they could guard the palace. When the monster reached the palace, Mas started what he was planning. Luckily Alabaster noticed him right away, so he warned Sato, who was able to avoid the attack. When the monster attacked, Alabaster decided to fight it first. Sato and Mas fought, but Sato did not understand why Mas was acting like this, and this caused him to unable to fight properly. Alabaster knew that someone was just controlling Mas, but he did not know how to stop it. Sato tried to use the power of one of his rings, but it did not work on Mas's sword. Because of this, the ring spoke to him again and told him to recall the first time he saw this sword in battle. However, he was still complacent that he could defeat Mas with the power of the rings. Then Sato suddenly realized why he had not been harmed, even though he knew that he and Mas have a big gap when it comes to wielding a sword. When he saw Mas's face, he immediately thought that he was trying to fight the one who was controlling him. When the girls found out that the two were fighting, they immediately came out as well as Saphira. Sato purposefully accepted Mas's attack, and rightly confirmed that Mas was hesitant to harm him. After Mas heard what Sato said, he begged Sato kill him because he was no longer useful to them. The ring told Sato to attack the tip of Mas's sword instead, and when Sato did it, Mas was freed from the one controlling him. Meanwhile, the monster got away from Alabaster and was about to attack Jaime, but thankfully, Granart quickly saved her. But it managed to capture Saphira, and Vixen held her as hostage. She wanted to use Saphira in exchange for the rings. While she was busy talking to Mas, she did not know that Sato was behind her and managed to save Saphira. That was the moment when Vixen released her true power to kill them all. Saphira approached Sato, and they used the power of the Ring of Water. Saphira transformed into a dragon who immediately ate the monster. Because of this, Vixen was forced to retreat first. In her absence, Saphira's father had also returned to his old self. He thanked Sato and promised to support him in any help he asked for. He also thanked Sluder and Mas for their service, but he decided to send the Imperial Army home because they could still protect their kingdom. Mas took advantage of this opportunity to inform the king of his plan to marry Saphira. And since the king had his trust in him, he let Saphira marry the man she also loved. When Vixen came to the Empire, she was about to try to control the Emperor, but it turned out that he already knew what she was planning. He reminded her that he would remove all the obstacles to his plans, even if it was the Abyss King or the Ring King. On the other hand, Saphira actually did not want to go with Sato, but she could not do anything because the power of the ring was stronger when they were closer to him. While Mas decided to continue to accompany Sato in his journey, and left Saphira for the meantime. But even though Mas made this decision, Saphira understood him. The next place that they needed to visit was the Land of Earth, or the Adanyakon, which was in the northern part of Masa. It served as the residence of the dwarves, but when the battle between the Ring King and the Abyss King took place, their race was annihilated. That meant that they did not know if the ring or the princess was still there. When they got to the Kayagamika mountain, they had to walk because of the narrow road. But it already took them 3 days, and they still could not leave this mountain. After a few days, they finally arrived at the Adanyakon. And as expected, they only saw ruined buildings. They continued walking until they reached the palace. Then they found a sorcerer unit that according to Alabaster was powered with magic powder. But after a while, they were surprised when it suddenly got up. It was wearing a black ring, and Alabaster could not believe that the Abyss King managed to control even the sorcerer unit. It repeatedly asked why the land of Earth was the only one that annihilated. It wanted that the land of light and others would also perish. Using the power of the black ring, it created a wall to keep Sato away from his companions. Sato resisted it, and fortunately, Alabaster quickly broke the wall. It was here that Sato used the power of the Ring of Light. The enemy tried to stop him, but it did not work. A few moments later, the black ring suddenly disappeared as well as the others held by Alabaster and with the Emperor. After the Abyss King got all of the black rings, he sent the monsters to where Sato's group was located. They decided to leave first, but when they got out, they were shocked that more monsters were waiting for them. Sato told Saphir to transform back into her dragon form, but since there was almost no water there, Saphir said that she could not do it. For this reason, they could do nothing but fight the enemies. Although they defeated the other monsters, they noticed that the enemies only increase in number. They tried to get away, but they were met by so many monsters. It was the moment when Alabaster confirmed that the Abyss King had finally returned. Since the rings were not yet completed, he knew that Sata had no chance of defeating the enemy. Sata suggested that they leave there first, but Alabaster knew that no matter where they went, the Abyss King would surely find them. So the only way that he could think of was to take them to another world, so that the Abyss King could not get hold of the rings. Moss decided to stay behind to help Alabaster while he was trying to open a portal. After a while, he was able to open the gate and successfully teleported them to another world. When they arrived to Sato's world, Sato could not believe that he would be able to return there. Then the girls live in Jaime's place for the meantime. But since the rest of them had nothing to wear, they decided to shop for clothes. The other customers just thought that they had been into an event because of their appearance. While they were eating, they tried to discuss their next step. They know that it would be difficult for them to get back because there was not even the slightest trace of where they teleported to. Saphir also said that it would be easier to connect this world to their world if they could find even the slightest trace of magic. And that was what they must find, so they could return. That night, Sato asked Jaime where she got the money to buy their clothes and food. So Jaime said that Alabaster had left a letter and money in case they did not succeed in their world. She was sad because Alabaster also wrote that he wanted her to forget Arnulus and live quietly in this world. The next day, their summer break was about to end, so they managed to get back to school. But every night, Sato would go back to where they teleported in the hope that he might find some trace of magic. He did not expect that Jaime followed him. She also knew that he always came there every night. Then she reminded him of the last words of Alabaster before they were teleported, and it was to release the princesses from their fate in the rings. A few moments later, the shrine suddenly lit up, and they were surprised that it brought out a woman. The girl told Sato that she had been waiting for him for a long time. She introduced herself by the name Amber, and she was the one who had the Ring of Earth. They learned from her that after the Battle of the Dwarves, they decided to create a vessel that would protect the ring, and they created her. It only meant that she was just a replica of the dwarf princess, and was sent to his world with the ring. She was about to execute the contract with Sato, but Jaime stopped her and said that Sato would never return to Arnulus. Amber did not insist anymore, but she told Sato to come back to her in case he changed his mind. A few days had passed, and Sato decided to return to the shrine. When Amber appeared, she told him that she could return them to Arnulus because she was given this power. But Sato did not decide on this right away, and he thought about it carefully. The next afternoon while he was on the rooftop of the school, Amber appeared to him again. She knew that he was only thinking about Jaime's feelings, and it was the reason why he was having a hard time making a decision. Although the roles of ring princesses were not easy, it was still one of the reasons why they were born. It was only here that he realized that this was Amber's only reason for her existence. Because of this, he decided to execute the contract with the Ring of Earth. That night, Jaime also immediately found out that Sato and Amber had already executed the contract because he was wearing the fifth ring. Sato sincerely told his reasons, and since she could see that he was determined to go back, she decided to support him. After a while, Amber had finished the gate to get back to their world, so all of the girls got ready. And for the first time, they saw Amber as the fifth ring princess. They immediately entered the portal and arrived at Arnulus. They came out of Adnukin, and to their horror, they saw the dead bodies of soldiers and monsters. Granart suddenly felt something in the distance, and when they looked at it, they saw the battle between the Imperial Army and the soldiers. Because of the number of monsters, Sato faced and eliminated them first. With the strength of the power of the rings, he quickly defeated them all, and was able to approach the Abyss King. When all the rings united, Sato acquired a very strong power. He immediately attacked and successfully injured the enemy, causing the monsters to disappear. They thought that the Abyss King was completely defeated, but they were shocked that he was still alive. Even the rings could not believe that the enemy withstand their attack on the opponent. But Sato lost so much strength that he just collapsed. The girls acted quickly before the Abyss King got Sato. For this reason, the enemy released many monsters again. The girls resisted and fought the monster, but because of the sheer number of the enemies, they started to lose hope. When Sato lost consciousness, he dreamed that he was on the roof of the school and was attacked by the Abyss King. But his dream suddenly changed when he and Jaime were still children, and that was when he woke up. When he saw Alabaster, he immediately thought that he was dead. But he felt relieved that the princesses were also with them, and according to Granart, Alabaster was the one who saved them. When Sato asked about Masa's situation, Alabaster said that the prince was also safe. And it was because of Smaragdi's help that they were able to escape from the monsters that attacked them. It turned out that she followed Alabaster, so when they were in danger, she acted quickly to save them. Alabaster informed Sato that the monsters had also retreated, and this might have been because the Abyss King also received severe damage after his attack. He also told them how happy he was when they returned with the rings intact, as it would surely bring new hope for the people of Arnulus. When they arrived at the royal palace of Nokanatica, they asked Alabaster why Sato had not defeated the Abyss King even though the rings were complete. Alabaster answered that he had no idea how this happened, and he also did not know about the rings worn by the Abyss King. But they still could not deny the fact that the former Ring King had sealed the Abyss King before. As their conversation continued, they knew that they needed to unleash the full power of the rings before the next battle began. One day, Jaime took Sato with her to visit the grave of her parents. It was only here that he found out that Jaime had a sister that she had not seen since she went to the other world 10 years ago. Suddenly, Alabaster came there too with the 4 princesses. He informed Jaime about her magic training because the one who would teach her was coming. A few moments later, her mentor came and introduced herself as Morian no Kanatica. This is the end of the last episode of Tales of Wedding Rings Season 1. I hope you like it, and give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel so you won't miss newly uploaded videos. Thank you for watching.